Welcome to Accreditation Made Easy, the podcast that takes the stress out of accreditation. I'm your host, Areaka Jewell, and in each episode, we'll deliver actionable tips, expert insights, and practical strategies to help streamline the process, and of course, make your work life a little easier. Now, whether you're tackling policies, preparing for assessments, or just looking for ways to stay ahead, we've got you covered. Let's simplify accreditation, one step at a time.
Accreditation files aren't really built for us. They're built for the people who will review them. And when you approach your file building from an assessor's point of view, you are going to pick up on little things that can either speed things up or severely slow things to a crawl. Hi, I am Areaka Jewell, host of the Accreditation Made Easy podcast. And today we're flipping the script, a mindset shift. So instead of building files like accreditation managers, we're going to build them from the perspective of the assessor because we want to make their job easier, right? And the smoother our assessments will run. Today, I'm going to go over some practical habits that I've gathered from years of reviewing and being reviewed. So stick with me, listen to them, adopt what works, tweak what doesn't, and then watch your next assessment run so much more smoothly. Sound good? Okay, let me give you a little perspective, why this perspective matters. Picture this. I'm one of your assessors. I arrive on the first day of your assessment, and I get set up in the workspace. I log into Power DMS, fine, no login issues, and I get to the first standard. What I'm looking for is how your written directives are labeled, how your proofs of compliance are labeled, and any highlights, how are they labeled and linked? Now, once I get through a couple standards, I'm going to see what your style is, and I'm going to develop a rhythm. And that rhythm is going to keep me going standard after standard, proof after proof. But if I get to a standard and things look a little different types of written directives, different labeling, different highlights, it's going to make me pause. I'm going to have to relearn a new style. It's going to disrupt things, and stuff like this can potentially add literally another hour to each chapter. So think of this. Consistency equals speed. Let me repeat that. Consistency equals speed. Again, assessors develop a rhythm. And if every file looks different, new naming conventions, inconsistent formatting, that's going to break the rhythm and slow down the reviews. So pick a standard set of attachments and highlight labels and then stick to it. And if you have more than one person building your files, make sure you're all on the same page. Think of the labels as a navigation menu that guides the assessor through each attached document and its corresponding highlights. Now, let me do a little sidebar here. You have two people building files. One copies and pastes the language from each bullet in the standard, the entire sentence or sentences, and makes that their label. Now, the other person building the files uses one or two keywords from each or uses a standardized listing, such as bullet A, B, C, proof 1, 2, 3. Put those two types of files side by side. The one with the longer sentence labels is going to take the assessor longer to read each one in the standard, in the label, and then look at the proof to verify compliance, versus the other one that uses one or two keywords. Again, it's a navigation point, just a place to click and scroll to the next place, the next attachment, or the next highlight. One takes much longer to review. than the other. Okay, my sidebar is over. All right, next thing, picture this. Your year 1 proof shows a training roster. Your year 2 proof shows an email, and then year 3 shows a memo. Your assessor's going to have to pause and decide whether each proof meets the standard. So whenever possible, use the same or nearly identical proof across all years. And when things can't be, maybe a process changed, a form changed, you might need to add a simple note just to explain it. Okay, next important thing, follow the standard sequence. What I mean by this is arrange your attachments in the exact order that they are listed in the standard itself. So if you're highlighting a written directive and there's a requirement in the standard statement, have a highlight for the standard statement and then each bullet. Same with the proofs. If the proofs are requested after a written directive, put them in the order they appear in the standard. Again, this adds to the rhythm of the review. Assessors shouldn't have to hunt or jump around, like showing bullet A proof and then E and then back up to B. You get what I'm saying? So the next habit that I suggest is limit your clicks and attachments. More clicks equal more time. So combine like documents, like all 3 annual proofs into one PDF if you can, and if not, attach them individually, but make your labeling super, super clear so it just flows from one attachment to the next. Same thing with the highlights. I'm not a fan of highlighting 5 little highlights in one page, like a date, and then a name, and then a signature. If you can capture all of that in one succinct highlight, better. Less clicks, less time. Okay, now let's talk about capturing the requirements in the standard statement. I touched on this before. Don't skip straight to the bullets. Clearly read the standard statement. That's the very first sentence in each standard that says what the requirement is. If there's specific requirements in that statement, you need to show proof of compliance with that. Don't skip it and then go into your bullets. Next habit, check for readability. What I mean by this is make your proofs, size them correctly. You don't want the assessor to have to zoom in just to see what you have highlighted. Oftentimes I see this when a portrait document is printed on a landscape orientation and it makes it look so micro and I have to zoom in. So if you have to zoom in to read it, your assessors will too. And again, that's going to slow things down. All right, the next one I want to talk about is a hyperlink versus an upload. Now I have to tell you, when I first started building files, I put in a PDF versus a hyperlink on something because my thought was if that link was bad or it was slow to load, the internet was slow, that equaled more time for the assessor to have to click it, go outside of the assessment, review it, and then come back. Versus a PDF upload, they click on it and it's right there. However, that was very time consuming to build that, right? Because I had to make sure that my PDF attachments were up to date versus just having a hyperlink that would go to the most current statute or whatever. So just keep that in mind. Every time that you put in a hyperlink, just make sure that the speed is there. If you're subscribed to my content hub, check out the article called Embed in Power DMS. I promise you this is a game changer, where instead of putting a URL that the assessor clicks on and goes somewhere else, you literally embed that website into Power DMS the same as you would any other attachment. It just comes up in the Power DMS window. Again, the name of that article in my content hub is Embed in Power DMS. Okay, next one, provide context. If an attachment isn't self-explanatory with how you label it and how you highlight it, then add a simple note. For example, if you combine all your proofs and you show year 1, 2, and 3, but on this particular one, you only have a year 1 and 3, just add a simple note after that that says there were no occurrences in year 2. Another example might be Officer White is the only member assigned to conduct background investigations after a proof that only shows 1 certificate when the standard asks for 3 examples. You get what I'm saying here? All right, next habit. Document statuses, waivers, and exemptions in a simple note, such as, when something's not applicable, write that it's not applicable and why, such as, this standard's not applicable, the agency has no holding facilities. This keeps assessors in the attachment tab where they're reviewing proofs and such, instead of having to switch over to maybe the status tab to see why there's no attachments in there, or pick up the phone and call you and ask. Again, anytime the assessor has to stop and ask why or ask more is time. On that note, point assessors in the right direction. For things that they need to interview a certain person or observe a facility or equipment or security, put a simple note. Interview this person and maybe include a phone number, or observe this piece of equipment here. It just saves time of them getting to a standard that requires an interview or something to observe, and then having to call you in and ask you, who do I talk to for this, or where do I observe this? Just put a simple note. Next habit, create an assessor's user group. Now we're jumping out of file building a little bit, but this is something that can definitely improve on the smoothness of your assessment. If you put all the assessors into a group for users, then you just add rights to that group. Now, when you do that, most agencies' default is to put all new users in the all users group. And if you let all users in your agency see every document, or maybe they're required to sign every document, then putting assessors, if they're also in that group, when they log in, they're going to see every document or be required to do training or sign a document. So create a group, take them out of any default groups, and just assign assessors to the assessment. That's it. Okay, I've gone over a lot, but the thing I want you to walk away with is consistency above all. Choose a style, document it, and apply it across every standard. And when you have to deviate because you have no control over it, something's different, just add a simple note to explain why. Now, if you adopt these habits that I've gone over, you'll help assessors move more quickly, you'll reduce follow-ups, and you're going to show your agency at its best. And as always, I've bundled these 12 tips into a checklist, so to speak, that you can print out or bookmark and refer back to. And of course, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. So thank you again for joining me. I invite you to leave a review or share this with somebody in your accreditation circle. And until next time, let's keep making accreditation easy, one step at a time.